Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Cat Space. Once again, join me tonight are two amazing gentlemen, Buckets and Leon. Good evening, boys.
Evening.
Hello, hello, hello.
So tonight's topic is another political agenda that I've been cooking up. Tonight's topic is, should Anthony Albanese be the subject of an Icac investigation? Here we go. Gentlemen, we're taking turns. Start with you, Leon. First question. Considering Anthony Albanese purchased 3 new jet planes, one for himself, one for Treasurer Jim Chalmers, and the incoming Governor General Sam Mostyn, could this be considered a way of him, or a way of keeping him in power?
I don't think so because we are in a cost of living crisis. This won't help his cause at all. If he really wanted to show that he's really in touch with the people, he shouldn't have bought these planes. He should have just ride economy class with the rest of us commoners.
I was doing some research, and these 3 planes all together, you're not going to believe the cost amount, 450 million for all 3.
That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. And also, did you say 450 million, right?
Yeah.
All right, so he spent $450 million on 3 planes. He also blew 400 and something million dollars on a voice referendum we didn't need to have. So that's 900 million he's blown on that stuff already. Plus, he also wants to bring in a Papua New Guinea rugby league team, which he's trying to give 600 million to that too. So he's over $1 billion in just wasting money. There's such a thing as called wasting money, and there's such a thing as called taking the piss.
Yep,
And this guy is taking the piss out of the Australian taxpayers.
exactly.
I think that this can be seriously considered a bribe, in my opinion, because if you remember Barry O'Farrell, okay, Barry O'Farrell Barry O'Farrell's wife,
Winegate.
basically accepted a really nice grand bottle of wine, and because of that, he lost his right to be Premier of New South Wales, actually, over a bottle of wine. Now, granted, it was a $5,000 bottle of wine, but that was a bottle of wine. These are, these are jets, luxury jets, jets that aren't necessary. And he took it out of the military budget. I definitely believe that this is ICAC worthy, and I definitely believe that he's purposely purchased these planes as a means for the Governor General, the future Governor General, to be on his side, so not to vote him out, and for Jim Chalmers to basically not vote against him.
Exactly.
And there's no stopping him or how many planes he might actually purchase, because who's to say that he won't purchase more planes for more ministers?
The planes, he's called them, and I quote, it's name he's picked it. He's named it after his dog, so he's called the
dog,
planes Toto 1.
Are you sure it's not Toto 1 because he hasn't watched what's that bloody The Wizard of Oz?
His dog's name is Toto.
Well, maybe Anthony Albanese should click his heels 3 times and get back to reality.
Exactly. But let me say this to you, and I mean this properly. Seriously, Toto 1. What does that sound to you like? Toto 1?
Sounds like Air Force One.
Sounds like Air Force 1. Toto 1.
Well, it sounds more like, in my opinion, it sounds more like Snowball 1, Snowball 2, and Snowball 3 from The Simpsons.
But do you know what? Each of these liners have a luxury bedroom with a luxury dining area with a luxury office, and everything is like futuristic and luxe, like not just normal luxe. You're looking at 10 times luxe. Like,
but like, this is what I don't get about these airline jets, right? Why do they need to? For what reason did Albanese basically need to say, "Oh, these luxury jets are top secret"? Is there a need for them to be top secret? Do they have lasers on them or something like that? Like, why are these luxury liners top secret unless you were trying to hide something from the Australian people? So that's what really upsets me about this, that he's abused his prime minister power to go, yeah, we're just going to call this top secret so that the Australian people don't find out about this. When we all know it's an extreme abuse of power.
Now, you pointed out something very important, which reminded me of something. And this is where it ties in with the second question. Here we go. Leon, should there be an Icac investigation over the misuse of military funds for the purchase of the 3 luxury planes?
Absolutely, there should be an ICAC investigation. I mean, like we've been saying, and we're probably going to be touching on this all the way through. We are in a cost of living crisis at the moment. He's spending $450 million on freaking planes. I mean, this guy, if this guy didn't want any of that baggage, like I said, he should have ran economy class, because that would have been $449 million cheaper. But this, and also and it's a misuse of military funds, right? So he's taking money from the Defense Force, which is right now under question because of the fact that there was six boats or something has just arrived here in Australia. 6 boats have arrived in just as many months. And he's spending $450 million on planes, taking money out of the defense force. So this is not looking good for him at all. This is a terrible look for him. What he needs to do is to scrap this little idea, fly, instead of flying first class, he can stay in the back and fly in last class, and see what it's really like. He is so far out of touch at the moment. It wouldn't be funny if it wasn't so sad. It's a real bad situation for Anthony Albanese.
What I hate about it is that they were saying that Qantas planes, right, which ironically enough, Qantas actually did employ people from our Air Force, our RAAF Air Force, and then put them into planes afterwards, because the training would always be the best. But they were basically saying that Qantas bought themselves Airbuses, right? And they haven't really needed to replace them for at least a good 20 years. They might have had to do some repairs, okay, but they've never really, quote unquote, replaced them, because they haven't needed to, because they've always bought perfectly good machines, perfectly good planes. But here you have Albanese absolutely blowing the military budget on luxury small planes that can only really carry 17 people on them, and he's usually the only person on them. And what I really hate about this is that Jim Chalmers basically got his own plane that can equally carry 17 people on them. It's absolutely a ludicrous amount of money for servicing, the most minimal number of members. I mean, it would make sense if he put all of his ministers on one plane, right? Or all of his ministers on a bunch of planes. But it's just for one person. It makes no sense just to spend it. And the other thing is about Albanese was that Albanese already bought himself a plane prior, and it's only like 3 years old. So there's no need to replace this plane. You can upgrade the old one if you wanted, I suppose, if you wanted to make it a bulletproof plane or something like that, for your security or something like that. But it really doesn't, like, even if he wanted to turn it into, like, his old plane into a luxury plane, that would still be a cheaper option than to just buy a brand new plane, okay, and getting the biggest luxury model possible. It is an extreme amount of wastage, and I really feel that the ICAC people really need to investigate why he spent so much money on these planes when really they shouldn't cost this much.
Here's where the next question ties with what you guys are talking about. Okay, was it necessary for Prime Minister Albanese to keep the purchase of 3 luxury private jets under top secret as a means of government privilege? Leo,
No, it wasn't necessary. It's just it's an abuse of taxpayers' money. I mean, these guys here, these politicians, both sides of the spectrum are really guilty of this. Blowing taxpayers' money for their own petty games and stuff like that. And I think this is another game of Anthony Albanese. And I think I know why he spent $450 million on planes that sit about 17 people, because he needs 11. Because remember the story that he needs like 11 spin doctors to make him look good. Have you heard that story? Maybe
I
that's
think
probably the
so.
reason. That's probably the reason why he's got those planes. Is so that way, by the time he gets to and from a place, he already got words lined up and spin doctors already spinning for him like there's nobody business.
They're not very good value, are they? I mean,
No, what, the spin doctors or the planes or both?
both.
The only thing I want to say, and I'll throw a random question in there, which is, what if, and I know he's probably thinking he's going to win the federal election, but what if he doesn't and he gets ousted? Those 3 planes, does he keep them, or does he have to hand them back in full?
They're
Well,
not
I
going to
mean,
give the keys to him, that's for sure.
yeah,
Sorry,
look,
go ahead, Mel.
there's no way that if that was purchased with taxpayer dollars, there is no way that after Albanese is voted out that he would be able to keep those planes. They would be specifically purchased for the next prime minister. You know, if ever he actually bought it for himself and he did like a John Travolta and kept his own plane, he would be in some serious trouble, more trouble than he's in now, basically.
Where is
And
he going to park it? Where would he park it?
I don't know, Macca's.
Has anyone got a plane garage for him to park it in over there where he lives in the
I
eastern
think
suburbs?
I think it sits at domestic at Mascot, I believe.
I hope they got a Macca's there. Do they have a drive-through?
It's not Engadine.
Yeah, he can order his Macca's from Canberra. Be there in about 5 minutes.
So
If I'm not mistaken, it's probably sitting at Mascot at the hangar.
That would make a lot more
Aeroad.
sense, or even Bankstown Airport.
Yeah, Bankstown Airport. Here's the thing that ties into it. Let's go. Considering the price of these planes, they're 450 million. In the middle of a cost of living financial crisis, do you both think that Prime Minister Albanese should rightly be removed from office?
Quite frankly, he's taking the piss with the amount of money being spent on these 3 planes. He probably should be, but that's not going to happen, because in order for him to be removed from office, he needs the government, the opposition would need the support of not only that party, but also support from the opposition party, and that's just not going to happen. So he'll go through to his May term next year and call the election then. But even when he does, the popular vote, both of these guys, Anthony Albanese and Peter Dutton, are not popular with the voters. It's probably going to come down to, like it always has been, 2-party preferred. Also with the minor parties as well, they're going to have to do deals. Otherwise, we're going to end up with a minority, just like Tasmania.
You know, the funny thing, right? I remember when Bronwyn Bishop, right? Someone as great as Bronwyn Bishop, she was a great politician. I remember when she lost her job as speaker because she rented a helicopter, right? And took that to Parliament House, right? And yet when Albanese buys an entire plane, 3 planes, okay, no one's even thinking of basically ousting him or getting rid of him, right? They're just like, he's done something really, really horrible, but we'll just look the other way. So I mean, by the time Peter Dutton gets in, he'd be like, oh, look, look what's been left over. But
The keys to a $450 million plane.
but think about like the amount of houses, like Albanese keeps saying that he wants to build all these houses in Australia to beat the housing crisis
within the next 5 years.
Yeah, how many houses could you have built with those planes if you didn't pay for them? kind of thing.
Yeah, $450 million.
Yeah, I mean, you could have built even if they were just small houses, like 2-bedroom houses.
Probably could have
Or-
built 450 of them.
Yeah, how many apartment blocks could you have built with that? Honestly, you could have housed so many people with that money. But the worst thing is the fact that, you know, he took it out of our military budget.
Yeah.
Our military budget. We are on the brink of going to war
Again.
again against China, against other countries. Every time America pick a fight with someone, Australia always comes with, right? He's basically unfortunately, he's created this. First, he creates a divide with Australians versus Australians. Now he's created a divide between Palestine and Israelites or Israelis. So we're on the brink of having, you know, another full-scale war. Okay, and he's literally taking money out of our military budget.
I mean, what's going to be left? We're not going to have anything to defend ourselves with.
It's crazy.
You know, it's enough where, you know, American soldiers come to us to be trained or get training.
Well, in defense of Anthony Albanese regarding what Phil said about the Israeli-Palestine war, that's been going on for nearly a century. So that's not Anthony Albanese's fault. So
No,
they've been going at it for nearly 100 years, and they cannot find a common ground.
It's been about, to be honest, it's been about 2,000 years actually, because it's biblical.
But no,
It goes back to biblical times.
Just to be actually clear, so there's been to Israel, so there's the biblical Israel that we read about in the Bible, and then there's Israel becoming an actual state in 1924. Okay, and that war's been going on for, you know, the minute they had a state, right?
Well, that's where I was referring to 100 years.
Right.
You know?
So but nonetheless, I've noticed that Anthony Albanese has basically swept under the carpet that Hamas has committed genocide, and then just supported Palestine, and even let them nominate them to be on the UN, whilst accusing Israel of being war criminals. And it's gotten so bad to the point where Jews in Australia have been told, do not come out of your homes, or danger may be upon you.
Yeah, that should not happen.
Which I never thought would ever happen in Australia. But I mean, like, don't you think that, like, you know, when you've got times like these, the last thing you want to do is deplete the amount of money that's in your military, kind of thing, especially when we're constantly brothers in arms with the US, who happen to go to war all the time. Okay.
All I will say is, let's go back to the beginning. Okay, short and sweet. We had the voice referendum, which was $250,000, and then we gave Papua New Guinea 66 million for a rugby league team, plus a stadium.
600 mil, I think it was. Yeah.
660. Was it 660,000?
They're going to win some games.
Yeah, no matter what, 660 million. And then you've got now taking out of our military funds for 3 private luxury jets called Toto One. What's left of our country? Renters like us are only getting $9, and then once $300 off electricity.
Which by the way is going to be gobbled up because Ausgrid had jacked up the prices. Also, that's for people who don't have a battery. They are going to charge people to put their power back into the grid because they've got too much power, and now they're going to charge people. So that's over 60. That's roughly 60% of that $300 rebate that you guys expect to get. That's about 60% gone before you even get it.
I would even argue it's not even 60%. I would have argued that it'll just go. Okay. $300 is not a lot of money.
It's peanuts.
It's peanuts. It's
like peanuts.
It would basically buy out maybe one bill and
That's it.
That's it, right? You might have like $50 over, but if you're lucky, but if you're living in a house, okay, $300 would probably pay half of that, and you still have extra money to pay, so it doesn't even pay the whole bill.
Exactly.
Let's look at the last question. Okay, before we go to the last question, you've got the voice of Parliament, and then you've got the woke agendas of not selling Australia paraphernalia. Then you've got Papua New Guinea 660 mil for rugby league and for somewhere for them to play. And then you've got trips to America on a regular basis. And then you've got going to Scone on 2 different planes. And now you've got taking out of the military fund money to buy those luxury jets.
There needs to be an audit. So, I mean, like, in my heart of hearts, I don't think those planes actually cost as much as he said they cost. I mean,
Yeah.
I reckon that some of that money has been funneled somewhere else, and I would like to see the receipts of how much those planes actually cost.
I mean, we already know campaign is underway. How much more money is going to spend on the campaign?
So I wonder if the things that Albanese is actually he's actually paying for, like the footy sides, like the planes, like the other things, is legit going towards you know, everything, because that referendum that we recently had, that was a complete waste of money. I would not be surprised if there was money that was taken which wasn't actually spent. I'm actually convinced of that. I do not honestly believe it went like water. I reckon there's a bit of missing money here and there that people aren't willing to give back. And I would not be surprised if they've gone, oh yeah, like how much did the plane cost? Like 450 million.
Right.
450 million.
Where really the planes basically would have cost $100,000 each. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case.
I'm looking for what's his name, Mayor Quimby from The Simpsons. You know, his lectern says corruptus and extremis. I wouldn't be surprised if Anthony Albanese's got one of those plaques around there, so that way he goes on as like a press conference, say I'm calling an election or whatever like that, and he's got that little ring around him like the Australian Labor Party corruptus and extremis or something, you know, like that, like the way that Mayor Quimby does from The Simpsons.
Well, I want to know if there's like a secret swimming pool that he's not telling us about, just like The Simpsons.
Oh, you're paying oh yeah, with that pothole cement, right?
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised either, because you should see how many potholes there are in the Hawkesbury right now. Kat should know. Kat works in the Hawkesbury. So do I. We know exactly how many potholes there are over there. There's probably got all the pothole cements over there in bloody Canberra building himself an in-ground swimming pool somewhere.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised.
Curability or something.
If it's like in the Hawkesbury, they're really spas now. They're really spas. Let's get our terminology right.
You see some random cars driving crazy in the street. You know what? They know why they're avoiding the swimming pools over there.
Here's where the last question ties into the question from before ties into the last question, gentlemen. Here we go. The last question: is the Prime Minister taking liberties which are not in the best interests of Australia, Leon?
Absolutely, he is. He is taking, and I did say this at the start. He's not only taking liberties; he's taking the piss. When you're spending $450 million on first-class planes in the middle of a cost of living crisis, shows you just exactly how far out of touch this guy really is. He's out of touch with reality, and he has to hire a bunch of spin doctors to make him look good, which is probably the reason why he bought the plane, so at least 11 of them can sit in the same plane with him to help work out his next speech. It's not in the best interest of Australia, and if he wanted to really do that in the best interest of Australia, he wanted to do things in the best interest of Australia, call an early election. Let's take this to the people, and you will see Peter Dutton coming in from left, right, and centre. A, with this. B, with the cost of living crisis. C, with the Indigenous voice to Parliament, which kind of blew up in Anthony Albanese's space, and it cost him over 400 million. Also, with the wanting the fact that he wanted a Papua New Guinea team in the rugby league, which is 4. And now this list is going on and on and on. It's just ridiculous. He is taking liberties, and he's also taking the piss.
I actually wonder why Jim Chalmers actually did get a plane, right? Because maybe he knows something that the Australian people don't know.
Early
I mean,
election,
we all know that he spent a ridiculous amount on these planes, but I wonder if they are actually using this as a front, okay, and actually saying, no, we'll tell the Australian people we've spent this amount on like 1 or 2 or 3 planes, when really, I wouldn't be surprised if they're funneling it into a Swiss account or something like that.
Cayman Islands.
Yeah, or a Cayman Islands. I mean, they have now the jet to go to the Cayman Islands.
I think for me,
I
to give one to the incoming Governor General Sam Mostyn. Now, I did some research on our next incoming Governor General Sam Mostyn. She worked in the Paul Keating office. She's a Labor. She's at work. She's been named the most woke Labor minister or person in the Labor Party.
Make sure we send her a copy of Kingswood Country.
And then, you know, she's going to be sworn in July. That's when her new role starts.
I'm going to be swearing when she gets sworn in.
Now, the thing is, to give her a private luxury jet, is it because he wants her, if he gets voted back in, does he want her to approve everything he puts forward?
Could be. I mean, like, again, why give Barry O'Farrell a $5,000 bottle of wine if you didn't want something in return? Same thing. Why give the Governor General a luxury jet, right? Exorbitant jet. Unless you wanted something in return. And like, if anyone can do an actual audit, okay, that's Jim Chalmers' job, right? So why wouldn't you give him a jet unless you wanted to stop him from looking or investigating why Albanese needed to spend that much amount of money on such limited actual items. I wish the taxation department or Icac does do an actual audit, because then we'll actually I think it's the right of the Australian people to know why it was necessary to not only take it out of the military budget, but actually spend this amount of money on these planes.
Yeah.
Okay, and if the planes don't come with a Frank Sinatra CD, right, we seriously got ripped off. Okay, if they didn't get a "Don't Rain on My Parade" song with this, seriously, we got ripped off.
Hang on. I'll go you one better with Frank Sinatra. At least have the record of Frank Sinatra and Nancy Sinatra saying, then I go and spoil it all by saying something stupid like "I love you."
Well, he certainly loves the planes.
He loves the plane.
Well, what do you guys think? Should there be a formal ICAC investigation into Labor, the Labor government, and our current incumbent sitting Prime Minister? Thank you so much, gentlemen, to Buckets and Leon.
Can I say this one thing? If these planes turn into a transformer, totally worth the money. I will understand.
Don't call it Toto 1, call it Optimus Prime 1 or something.
Yeah, there you go. Please don't forget to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. There's a bell next to it. Click on that. That'll allow us to bring a lot of content out to you. Don't forget to subscribe and leave some comments for us. We're absolutely loving the comments in the previous videos. Thank you so much, everybody who left us some phenomenal comments. We absolutely love them. Keep coming in. Invite your friends to subscribe. Let us know your thoughts and feelings about this issue. And we look forward to bringing you something really, really fun next week. Thank you so much. Stay warm, Australia. Stay warm. Until then, peace, light, and love to everybody out there. Bye.
Bye.